Kevin Keegan shocked the football world when he returned to the game as manager of Newcastle. But then he'd shocked the game when he retired as a player, when he became the first British footballer to become an international superstar and play in Germany, and when he signed for Southampton. He was England's captain, one of the most inspirational the game has ever known, and yet also one of the greatest goal scorers and goal creators this country has had. With Liverpool, he won just about every honour the game has to offer, and his name became as well known as any pop star or politician. That's why the Kevin Keegan story is the story of English football's first true superstar.
I suppose that you couldn't get any further away from the hurly and burly of football than my farm down in Hampshire. It's feeding time for the horses that sets the pace of my day, rather than the blowing of some referee's whistle. I suppose you could call it idyllic, but for some reason I decided to give it all up, for the time being anyway. My quiet life in the country changed completely when I announced that I was back in the game and in the hottest seat in the country as manager of Newcastle United. I can honestly say that there's no job in football I've ever wanted. This is the only job I've ever wanted. But speaking from the heights of the professional game, I can say that my origins were all rather different. First time I ever got a football, I was 7 years old, and my Uncle Frank, my father's brother, fetched me a big leather size 5 football, which you rarely see nowadays. Obviously with the lacing, which again you don't see anymore. And I was Jack the Lad, you know. Everybody wanted to know me in the area because I had a football, and a leather one at that. So it started really in the streets in Doncaster, where we used to have to go something like about a mile and a half to find a park. And I always wanted to be a goalkeeper. Never thought of anything else. I wanted to be like Willie Nimmo, who was the Doncaster Rovers keeper at the time. I used to go and stand behind his goal and watch the way he reacted to things. Watch him. He used to kick at both posts as he came out and knock the crossbar each side. And I used to go back home and try and do the same. Of course, I couldn't reach the crossbar, but I could kick the posts all right. And really, my life was just around football. School was something that interfered almost, right from being the age of 7, 8. I was born in Doncaster in Yorkshire. My father was a miner. He was a typical miner. Smoked, chain smoker almost. Loved to bet on the horses, which is probably where I got my interest in horses from. And he loved to drink. Worked hard, played hard, just like all miners did. And then it was back down the pits on a Monday and off you go again. School life for me was mainly about how good can the football team be and what can we win this year. And one of the fantastic things to happen was I was actually taught by a nun to play football originally. We didn't have a sports teacher for the last year I was at St Francis Xavier, and a nun called Sister Mary Oliver used to take it, and to be honest with you, it surprised us because she knew the rules pretty well, and she knew what offside was, and she knew when someone had fouled you or you'd fouled someone. And she actually put on a report of mine one day, she put, Kevin, his schoolwork could be better, but he must be encouraged with his football.
as he is a good sportsman.
The next school for me was St. Peter's in Cantley. This is me in the intermediate side.
The biggest thing I noticed about the change of school wasn't the change of itinerary as far as lessons were concerned, like French suddenly became a subject and other things like biology, which we'd never heard of. The thing I can remember most about going to St. Peter's in Doncaster, well, Cantley, was the fact the goals seemed to have got bigger. And I was quite shocked about that because I hadn't grown any. But the goals suddenly, from nearly being able to touch the crossbar and working really hard on jumping so I could touch the crossbar at the junior school, I now found myself nearly a foot away from the crossbar again. And that was one of the most disappointing things, and I felt sure they got the wrong size goals. After a while playing and trying to get in goals in the second year team, we had the trials and we were doing all the training, and the teacher, Mr. Teamby, came up to me and he said, look, if you want to get into the team, you're going to have to play outfield, you have to play right wing. After a few games outfield, I really started to enjoy it and found it was much more fun, and it suited my temperament more. Goalkeeping I found boring at times because the action always seemed to be down the other end or in midfield, and suddenly I could run anywhere and get a touch of the ball, and that was it. I never really looked back.
After school, though, the transition to the professional game wasn't easy.
I'd been turned down by 2 clubs before I went to Scunthorpe. When I say turned down, probably Coventry was the one that really hurt, because I went down. My Uncle Frank, who bought me the football when I was about 6 or 7, that really got me first interested in football, he said, why don't you come down to Coventry, you stay with me in Nuneaton, and I'll fix up a trial, because he knew one of the guys at the club. And I went down for what supposedly was a weekend, and I ended up, out of 200 lads, they picked 2 of us out. And you'd really think probably you'd made it by then. And they invited both myself and a lad called Brian Joy, I think his name was, to come back for training with the actual club side and the apprentices. And I did that for about 5 weeks, worked part-time in a garage, rubbing down cars, in a place called Stockingford down that way. And after about the 5th week, they called us in and they signed Brian Joy, and they said to me, look, you've got tremendous ability, but you're just too small, and we think that's going to be a handicap. And that was me back on the train to Doncaster, and that is probably the lowest I ever felt in football. I wasn't even in it then, but that coming back, you know, the teacher at school had said I wasn't good enough to go there, and I'd have to have special permission to go because I was off school, and all sorts of things. And it just, I thought, I can't face them because I felt such a failure. And yet I'd been picked out of 200 lads, but I hadn't quite made it, so I suppose I was a failure.
A supermarket now stands on the site of Scunthorpe's old ground. They even have the placemark where the centre spot used to be, in the middle of an aisle between the baked beans and the frozen goods. They've got a plaque up there as well. It marks the ground where I really learned the basics of the professional game. Ron Ashman was my first manager, and a great boss he was too.
I thought he's a bit small, but very wiry. And my second thoughts were, having watched him training, he's useful, quick, mentally alert, and we just went from there. I said, get him signed. He was very agile, quick, he had good touch, he could pass a ball, and he was brilliant in the air for a small lad. And I was amazed in a way that it took so long for the other clubs to have a look at him.
Scunthorpe United youth team coach by the name of Jeff Barker. He was a fullback with Huddersfield Town. And he came up to me one day and he said, we have just signed a lad who's going to be an international. And I always remember that. The first time I saw Kevin, I went up and watched the juniors the next week, and there was something very special about him. He had an insight into the game way beyond his years, and he would be about 17 at the time, 16 or 17.
I think right throughout my career, if people believed in me, it helped me. It wasn't something I desperately needed. But if someone put confidence in me or asked me to do something, even to this day, if someone puts the faith in me, I try and reward it best I can. And Ron Ashman, certainly by this time, was starting to see me as a player with a future, not just at the club, but a future for the club in terms of getting some money. And every club started to come. I mean, if you were to believe the papers, I mean, I think the only club never mentioned was probably Liverpool.
Kevin, you started off in league football as a 17-year-old. Did you find it a bit tough?
Yeah, at first very tough. Couldn't do much right, to be honest. But the more I've played, easier it's come, you know.
Have you found the fullbacks have been giving you a bit of a warning?
Not as much as I expected, really, you know. I've, been kicked a lot on that, but no, not as tough as I thought it'd be, to be honest.
What sort of fullback do you like to see playing against you?
Well, if you like to give you a bit of room, you know. Nowadays fullbacks play cover a lot. I like to see them play that. It gives you plenty of room up wing to do what you want, you know, you get plenty of space. Gives you a lot of time to think what you're going to do with the ball when you get it.
Now, people are already beginning to talk about you as a player with a future. Are you very conscious of this?
No, I ain't here, I'm conscious of it perhaps, but I try not to be. Well, I try not to let people say I am. Don't know if it's wrong or not.
What sort of ambitions have you got in football?
Well, I suppose same as everybody else. I'd like to play like youth honours, then England honours if possible.
Would you welcome the chance to move on to another club?
I don't know, it depends what sort of club really. I'm happy here, very good club. But, you know, I'd like to see it. You know, I'm getting first team football here. I should think if I went first division I'd struggle a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm quite happy here at the moment.
And enjoying your football?
Oh yes, very much.
The move to Liverpool just came out of the blue. I was shocked. Slightly embarrassed because I thought, you know, I'd still sort of told myself I probably wasn't quite good enough. But everybody else, Jack Brown saw it at the club, who was the trainer, said, hey, you're going to go to the top. Ron Ashman certainly always kept saying to me, you know, there's better for you than what you're at now, so be patient. But sometimes you wonder if they're just saying that to keep you happy, to keep you, you know, sweet, if you like. And suddenly Liverpool came, and it all happened so quick. It was just a bolt from the blue. You're going to Liverpool tomorrow.
It wasn't an easy position when we met the Liverpool people. Kevin went with us. I thought at one time that they weren't going to give him enough money. Tight people, Liverpool, you know. They were tight with us, we couldn't agree, Shankly and I. And, but eventually we got a fair amount for him.
My father had talked to me the day before, and he said, look, when you go, he said, don't sell yourself cheap. And I remember him saying that to me, don't sell yourself cheap. Because he always felt all his life, I suppose, as a miner, that he was cheap labour. And he didn't want to see the same thing happen to me. He never, ever wanted me to work down the mines. That was his ambition, to make sure. That's why he pushed me education as much as he did. And so I'm with Ron Ashman, we're going over there. And this is the future of Scunthorpe, because the fee agreed was £33,000, which was a fortune in those days. It's a pittance now, but in those days, if you think my wages were £25 a week, it gives you an idea just how much money you could live on and how much £33,000 was. And he was saying it'll be a great club for you, and it's a good move, and you'll be Bill Shankly, he'll be a great motivator for you, and all the players, they've got Emlyn Hughes, they've got Tommy Smith, they've got Ray Clements and things like that. And I can remember getting more and more excited as we went over Woodhead and started to go through Manchester, Glossop Place, I don't know where we went, and it was as if we were there before. We were still talking about the first sentence, and we were suddenly in Liverpool, going down the East Lancs Road, and I got to the ground, and they were building the main stand, as it is now, and the officers were temporarily in a wooden hut down the far end of the car park. And I can remember waiting to meet Bill Shankly. And, I mean, obviously, it was no big signing for them. It was the Monday of Cup final week when they played Arsenal, 1971. So, obviously, there's a lot of things happening at the club which are more important than signing this skinny-legged kid from Scunthorpe. I remember sitting outside on a dustbin for about 25 minutes, half an hour before we could get in to see Bill Shankly and Peter Robinson. Anyway, eventually go in and met Peter Robinson for the first time, met this great man, Bill Shankly, and the minute he started to talk, you know, you had to listen. And I found him compulsive listening for the rest of the other 7 years that and beyond that I knew him. And, hey, come in, son, what club you joining? Have you seen round? No, so he took us all round, and this is going to explaining what everything was. Hey, and Jim, Tommy Smith will look after your son and all this. And we're going on there. And I remember going for the medical with old Doc Reed was round there, who I got to know quite well. And as I was stripping off, Shanks was walking round me and he said, hey, son, have you ever thought of being a boxer? Because he did love boxing. It was probably the first love of his life, you know. And I said, funny enough, I have had a go at it, you know, with Doncaster Plant Works. And he said, hey, what a physique, son. He said, have you done weights? And I said, yeah, I've been running up the cantilever stand and working with weights a little bit. Hey, God, son. And I remember driving back in the car, going back to the office, having passed the medical. And he offered me £45 a week. And remembering what my dad said, don't sell yourself cheap. I said, he said, what's wrong, son? I remember Peter Robinson looking a bit miffed as well, and certainly Ron Ashman, who was seeing the 33 grand maybe going out the door, he nearly collapsed. And I said, I thought you'd offer a bit more than that. I said, I'm on £35 a week at Scunthorpe, and I get £10 if we win. And he looked at Peter Robinson, and then he said, all right, son, £50 a week. And I said, oh, that'll do fine. And it was just the principle of what my dad had said. And I can remember Ron Ashman saying in the car going home, where'd you get £35 a week from? You're only on 30. I said, but I got the 15 win bonus, right? He said, yeah. He said, but when was the last time you got any win bonus at Scunthorpe? So it became a laugh. And, you know, from that day to this, I mean, I met the man who was going to make me, you know, and I knew it the first time I met him. Just travelling in the car to the doctors. I just knew I'd met someone who was going to make me far better than I ever could have made myself or anybody else could have made me. So this was the turning point, and I really felt it from the first second I met him. I still get the same feeling when I come inside the ground as I did 20 odd years ago when I scored my first goal after 30 minutes just down in the bottom corner there. It's a shrine, and I think nothing that's happened since I left has really changed my mind. It just gives you a buzz when you walk in the place. And they've took it on. They haven't stood still, have they? Which is a great credit to Liverpool Football Club. They've actually developed the ground. I mean, that stands magnificent. I just wonder what Bill Shankly would have thought of it all. He actually stood in here for one game, and the cop were chanting his name and we didn't know why. It was after he retired, and suddenly the action on the pitch was secondary. It was incredible. We could see him in here. There was a picture of him in here. Don't think many managers would have done that, but then there weren't many managers like him. The emotion and I think it was Shankly who said if we don't score, they'll suck the ball in for us. And you just felt you just couldn't lose here. It got to the stage where it must be the nearest you could ever feel to being invincible. I mean, we did lose the odd game, but it really was the odd game. And most weeks, it was a case of how many and how long it would take to break down the resistance. I mean, certain teams were harder to break down than others. But give us 90 minutes with these people behind us, and you knew that given a little bit of luck, and you would beat them.
Long kick. John Wimpole finding himself under pressure here. Peter Thompson keeping at him. The way back cut off, and it's come straight to John Tussack. Got two men in front. That's Keegan. Keegan with a chance, and he has scored. Kevin Keegan has scored.
It all happened so quick in the first game. It seemed like before we'd even started, it was over, and I'd scored a goal. It wasn't a classic goal. I can remember Peter Thompson, who was a great player, and I wish I could have played more with him. Obviously, he was coming towards the end of his career by the time I joined Liverpool in '71. But he crossed the ball over, and I thought, oh, here it, right in front of the cop it was, and I thought, here it comes, you know. I had a couple of good touches. I'm going to smash this into the top right-hand corner, and I pulled my foot back to give it the good old welly, if you like, and it bobbled off the shin and went in the bottom left, and that was my first goal. It might not be the best goal I've ever scored, but as far as I was always concerned, it was the key goal, because it got me started, it got my name on the score sheet, it took the pressure off. I'd have sort of played 3 or 4 matches and not scored. People would have said, well, he can play a bit, but he doesn't score goals. And it just exploded from there, really.
Toshak again to Keegan, and Keegan's taken down. It's going to be a penalty. Keegan had got round inside his man. He was going for it, and the referee, Mr. Tony Morrissey, has no alternative but to give a penalty. Jim Barron having to face Tommy Smith. It's there. Keegan!
Hartford waiting, so is Tony Brown. Keegan. 2 minds then, Minton. Probably made the right decision. 2 doing one man's job. And what's that? Yes! Referee is right. And that really all came from 2 men doing one man's job. What will Keegan do now against John Osborne? Well, John Osborne really wasn't very far away, although it was put very close to the corner.
Peter Corbin. Lawler. Toshak. Keegan. 1-0. Was torn apart. The Germans have been living dangerously, and Liverpool got then what they deserved. Beautifully set up, the cross by Lawler, aimed at the man, brought in to win just this sort of ball. Toshak delivered quite beautifully to Keegan, and what about that for a header from Keegan? The goalkeeper wrong-footed, 1-0. Highway. Foul by number 3 McCulloch. Smith was thinking how really ought to be 2-0. Keegan having missed that penalty. Hughes. Hooks. Toshak. Keegan. 2-0. Again it all started with the defence in trouble in the air. Knocked back. Hooks didn't win it cleanly. That's Toshak to Keegan. 2-0, Keegan's second.
I remember Shank saying to Kevin one pre-season, we'd been back about 9 or 10 days, and we had a first little pre-season game between us, and he put Kevin straight in the first team, which was very unusual, you know. And we beat the reserves 5-1, which as well was very unusual, because in those sort of pre-season games, the reserves usually are more motivated than the first team. They go around kicking everybody, and the first team players are trying to keep out of trouble. But we won the game 5-1. We hit it off straight away, you know. A few useful combinations, and Kevin made his debut, the first match of the season, and he just never really looked back from there. Incredible, really, because he's one of the few players, if not the only player, who's been signed and gone straight into Liverpool's first team and never come out, you know. That didn't very often happen in those days. We did have this understanding, you know. We hit it off straight away, really. I mean, I was a tall, front man, less mobile, of course, than Kevin. And Kevin never stopped running from the first minute of the game till the 90th minute. I mean, very often balls that were played out of defence that looked bad balls, he would chase them and make them into good balls. And people started hitting balls to me, and I would flick them off, knowing where he was going, and he would know. Reach a stage where I used to jump laughing, you know, and he would say, "Anywhere, Tosh," and I'd flicker on, know he would be there, turn around and get a return pass. We hit it off, and I remember a group of students from Warwick University, I think it was, coming up to Liverpool to test us, saying we had a telepathic understanding, and they had a formula of testing these telepathic understanding with 24 different cards of different shapes and colours, you know. So we sat there back to back, and I started off lifting up the cards, and as I lifted up the card, Kevin had to say the first thing that came into his head, colour or shape-wise, you know. And they reckoned if you got 6 out of 24 right, then there was some telepathic understanding. So Kevin, I did the first 24. I picked up the first card, green circle, so Kevin said white. So I put it down, no movement. I pick up a red square and Kevin would say green, put it down. Pick up a white circle, he'd say yellow, put it down again. So this went on. I think he got 1 out of about 24, you know. He got right. So then we turned round and it was my turn to do it, you know. So Kevin picked up a green circle, and I say circle. A few looks, ums and ahs, and the students making notes, he put it down. Pick up a red square, I say red. More, writing a bit quick, put it down. Pick up a yellow triangle, I say triangle. Put it down again, you know, and this was, he started sweating now a little bit, Kevin, you know, this was going on. And I'm getting each one right, of course, you see, up to about the 7th one, and he picked up an orange triangle, 7th one or whatever, and I said, orange triangle. So he put it, and they started, you could see these students scribbling away with their pens, and I thought, I better get a few wrong here, you know, so I made a few. Until we reached about 16 out of 24, I got right, you see. So we finished, and these people, that's fantastic, you know, Kevin's sweating there, he can't believe what's happened here, you know. I said, oh, well, I said, you can see now who does the work in this partnership, you know. He might look as though he's doing all the running, but there's a lot of thought goes into what's going on here. But what actually happened was that we were doing it for television, and the lens, as this lens is looking at me now, was looking at me then, you see. So as I looked in the lens, I could see exactly what he was picking up behind me. And without saying anything to any of them, I'd just gone along and I'd got all these, and I must say, it was very, very amusing for about an hour and a half or 2 hours afterwards, until we actually told Kevin exactly what had gone on, you know.
Cormac. Keegan. Oh, what a beautiful goal! What a goal! Oh, they did this so well. Cormac, the back header from Keegan, and the finishing touch from Toshak. Uncertainty between Hughes and Thompson. Keegan! Keegan the scorer, but that's what happens when you're defending well. One half chance seized on a mistake by Ron Harris. He allowed the ball to run away from him, and Keegan cracked it past Bonetti with no nonsense. Keegan. Toshak and Highway up. And Keegan shots, and he scored! Kevin Keegan, who got a hat-trick on Saturday, opens the scoring in this League Cup tie. Cutting inside. There were 2 possible passes on for him, but he tried the left foot and scored with some simplicity. Thompson. Cormac. Well-directed pass. Back again for Hall. That header's the wrong way. Howard. Keegan. Yes! Poacher extreme. Kevin Keegan just getting there before the goalkeeper to open the scoring. But really, the Newcastle defenders can all look at each other because that all started from the header for the player who came back and headed it towards his goal rather than away in these difficult conditions, and Keegan put it home in the end.
Shankly really was the key to Liverpool. He once said to me after about 3 weeks, "You're going to play for England one day, son." And I just believed him. You did, you had to. Anything he said, you believed. Now, other people from outside used to look on him sometimes and say, you know, it's a bit extreme to say that. But if you played in his team or were part of his club, he was like, you know, the godfather's not the right word because people associate that with Matthew. He was a very kind, very loving man in many ways. And he had a real soft side to him, which the outside world never were privileged enough to see. But whatever he told me, and I'm sure if you ask any other players at the time, whatever he said to you, you really believed. If he said walk through that wall, you could do it. I mean, I remember a press conference once where when they signed Ron Yates, I'm reading about it in the programmes afterwards, and you talk about motivating people. He said after he had his fitness test and been round the track at Anfield, he said, "Come in, boys." And this was to the press, and all the press came in, about 8 of them. "There he is. The man's a colossus. Walk round him." And he was under the shower at the time, and about 4 of them actually walked round him and got absolutely soaked because Shank said, "Walk round him." They probably thought they weren't going to get wet. He had that effect on everybody, and the team's invincibility came from him.
Monroe. Samuels, and the whistle's gone. Monroe penalised. It's quickly taken, Keegan! And Leicester caught the kick so quickly taken, nobody picked up Keegan at all. That's Patosha. He got it, Keegan feeding off him. To Highway. Set up on for the cross. Toshak was deep. And it's there! The ball went loose. Brian Hall was in there, but it seemed to ricochet. Cormac. Whitworth. Now Toshak. That's for Keegan. What a goal! What can you say about Kevin Keegan? Toshak saw the setup, the ball was intelligent, and the finish was devastating. Shilton had no hope. Toshak, the initial intelligence to see it was on. Keegan so punishing with his finishing, and appropriately got that because he's the player of this Liverpool attack. Smith for Liverpool. Toshak. Cormac for Toshak. He's on his own. Shilton left. 3-1. Peter Shilton says it all. To Wembley, and fitting that Kevin Keegan should score the second goal that put Liverpool on the winning way. 3 times on Saturday, he almost won the match for them. Tonight, he's been their player in attack in every sense, and he's surrounded by these young supporters. So, Liverpool go through to the FA Cup final by 3 goals to 1 to beat Newcastle United at Wembley in May. A really brave fight by Leicester, but Liverpool supreme in the end, and these supporters all ready now and rehearsing for the trip to Wembley as Keegan makes his own triumphant way to the dressing room. Number 9. Highway looking for that dead ball line, but Clark not allowing him to go. Callahan. Smith. Paul's gone wide. Ryan Hall. They're really attacking Frank Clark in the second half. Toshak with Howard. Howard won. McDermott. He gave it to Lindsay. Liverpool throw. And Shanks' army, this Liverpool side, swarming forward now. Hall. Keegan! Goals pay the rent, and Keegan does his share. Newcastle split, they were pulled right across the park, and Keegan found himself with a sort of time and space a striker of his calibre will never waste, or should never waste. And Keegan picked his spot, and now the instructions come from the bench. Interesting that Joe Harvey is thinking of making the substitution, but Terry Hibbert, in fact, since that first half knock, perhaps really hasn't been himself. Good flick by Toshak to Highway. Could this be 2? Yes! Jim Smith's face in the foreground says it all as the Liverpool bench celebrates and the supporters get ready for the party. Smith. And the place seems to be swarming with red shirts. Lindsay. Keegan. Callahan's available behind Keegan. Beautiful ball to Smith. He didn't have to move to get it. Paul to Smith. Highway, Liverpool showing their party pieces. He wasn't offside. Smith. Yes! Keegan second. And Newcastle were undressed. They were absolutely stripped naked. The ball knocked about. A Liverpool movement in which so many players were involved. Highway to Smith. Appeal for offside. Not given. The low, hard cross. So difficult. And Keegan with an empty net. Keegan 2. Highway 1. Liverpool 3. Newcastle none. Bill Shankly looks so anxious. You wouldn't think they were 3-0 in front. It's all over, he's saying. He's just waiting for that final whistle to go to get to his players. And it's gone. Shanks salutes the supporters. The players from Liverpool celebrate as well they might. A victory well deserved. There can be few complaints. Joe Harvey, the beaten manager, brings the Newcastle side to Wembley, where they've lost for the first time. They've been here 5 times before. They've never lost before. But today, especially in the second half, they were always on the losing end. A moment to savour for any player. Her Royal Highness Princess Anne, and the cup belongs to Liverpool. Tommy Smith receives his second winner's medal and also the plinth. Ray Clements, the goalkeeper, gets his. Steve Highway, who got the second goal. Brian Hall, indefatigable in the middle of the field. Cormac the same. And the other midfield man, Ian Callaghan, everyone's footballer of the year. Alec Lindsay. Kevin Keegan, who celebrated with 2.
Toshak, back for Hall. Keegan! The pictures of despair followed by those of delight. And there they're both together. Liverpool are through. Stoke City are out. And Keegan and Highway, who did it at Wembley last May, have done it at Anfield in January at the start of the defence of the trophy.
Long kick by Clements. It was blocked by Callaghan. Here's Keegan. And a penalty, is it? Yes! Given against Marsh. Neil, who's scored from a few this year, but who missed one against Everton. It's tucked away very, very nicely.
I can remember a couple of games we played against West Ham. We always used to have good fun against West Ham, you know, Liverpool. We played at Upton Park in a league game, and they were without their regular choice centre-backs. And we scored both goals. We won the game 2-0.
Toshak, and for Keegan. Some space around, the 1-2 was beautiful, and Keegan scores for Liverpool. And that was a really lovely move. West Ham at fault, I suppose, in the first instance. They allowed first Toshak and then Keegan some space. But when the two of them then played the 1-2, it was perfectly executed. Keegan got it back, and what a good finish. Holland. Lock. Oh, it could be dangerous. Liverpool have got a man over here. It's Keegan just inside. Toshak's coming in on the far post unmarked. If Keegan finds him, Toshak must score surely. He must score. He has. The old 1-2 works again. Toshak made the first one for Keegan, and Keegan, who is just picking himself up having collided with the photographers, has laid on the second for Toshak. But it was on there from the moment Kevin Locke got into trouble. There was a man spare, Keegan got down the right, Toshak came in on the far side, and although he took a long time to put it away, it was always going to be number 2.
People said, well, when they come back in the Cup in a fortnight's time, it'll be different, you know, we'll have our full-strength side out, the 2 centre-backs will be playing. And we went back in the Cup 2 weeks later and we beat them 4-0. 3 from Toshak and 1 from Keegan, you know, with exactly the same type of moves.
Away by Thompson, back by Brooking, offside given, but play goes on. Tommy Taylor. Holland got one in the face. Here's Toshak, and Liverpool breaking well here. Both Toshak and Highway, and now Case forward. That's for Toshak, and the cover was not on. Oh, what a simple goal! Taken by Kennedy. Thompson nearly made it. Toshak did! Keegan doing well. My word, how well he shook off Coleman. He's got support just inside from Highway, and Highway goes past 2 of them. There's a man on the far post. Toshak! Hat-trick! Did well, Coleman. Case back there. The all-round teamwork of Liverpool, again something to admire, and a man over again. Highway with Keegan going inside free. They still haven't picked up Keegan. They have now, but they haven't picked up Toshak. and Lampard did in the end. Kennedy. And there's Keegan again, and he's onside. 4-0. West Ham wide open. A man short, it's true, but really no cover at all there. Liverpool almost able to score when they please. The ball finally knocked back in the middle for Keegan. And he's on the score sheet as well now, and no wonder the two of them, Keegan and Toshak, look so happy.
What he brought to the team was a great enthusiasm that you always knew if a ball was played, even a bad ball was played from the back up to the front, which really he had little chance of doing anything with. He would always try and make something of it. He would never give up on lost causes. He had tremendous bravery for a small man. He would get across the face of people and head balls in the net. For his size, he probably scored as many headed goals as many big centre forwards. But he had so many other things that defenders would always, well, they would never ever have a minute's rest from him.
15 minutes left and Liverpool still looking for this vital goal. Chipped up in the box, on by Toshak to Keegan, and the old firm have done it. 1-1, and that will be enough. Look at the delight on those faces of players and spectators. It's Keegan. Callahan. Thompson. Smith. Through to Keegan. 2-0. And Toshak threatened then. But I think one of the East Germans touched the ball to Keegan. That was Tommy Smith's cross, and I don't think Toshak touched it. It came off an East German right through to Keegan, who was so definite with his finish.
Smith. Number 3, Neil. Kennedy loose. Trying to switch play. Rieger, dangerously high, just outside the area, an obstruction anyway. Indirect kick. Just outside the box. "15 minutes gone. Bruges lead Liverpool by 1-0, and this is the second leg of the UEFA Cup final. 3-3 on aggregate. If the score is level on aggregate at the end of normal time, Bruges will win on the 2 goals they scored away from home, which count double. Hughes trying to invent something and organise something. Can't score direct. Keegan! He's done it! That tore its way through. And Liverpool's patience in taking that kick paid off. They waited till they were ready. The referee waited till the players were required distance away, and Keegan's shot was devastating. Played by Hughes to his right. And they almost had time there to close them down, but it tore wide of the wall, and Jensen, the goalkeeper, hadn't got the gap covered.
But for me, those big European nights at Anfield were about to come to a close. By the time we walked out onto the pitch for the European Cup final in Rome against Borussia Mönchengladbach, I had decided to make a dramatic move. I was determined to go abroad to try and improve my game. No other British player had really been successful in making that transition, and I was keen to take my game onto another level. The challenge was the real thing, but that final turned out to be a very special swan song.
Well won by Callaghan. Plenty of players forward here at Liverpool.
That's nice, that's McDermott, and that's a goal! Beautiful build-up, just look at this. McDermott finding a lovely position.
Gone off. That's a mistake, and here's Simonsen.
And that's it! Disaster for Liverpool, and the pace of this little man, and the power of the shot.
Case and Keegan in the box. Kennedy, Smith, and Joey Jones outside.
Oh yes! And what a delighted scorer!
Tommy Smith! Look at it again! Oh, what an end to a career! Tommy Smith sends the Liverpool crowd into total delight.
Hardly a movement on the Liverpool bench. Just a shuffle of the feet by Bob Paisley. Poised to do something that even Bill Shankly didn't quite succeed at doing. Keegan.
Foul, but it's going on! And what about it? Yes! It deserved it because it was such a good run. He left folks who bit at him, and bit too hard, and it's a penalty. So Philip Neal, who scored 10 times from the spot this season, twice in the European Cup, has the chance to make sure that the European Cup comes back to Britain, comes to Liverpool for the first time, and puts Liverpool in that exclusive club with Celtic and Manchester United. Taking his time. What a magnificent run by Keegan. What a loss he will be. Neal against Knight. And with such simplicity, the European Cup surely is won. Side foot, just inside the left-hand post from the kicker's viewpoint. And the Liverpool flag applauding a victory. Robert Wirtz looks at his watch, and his whistle signals that the European Cup has come back to Britain and has come to Liverpool, who've won it in the same season as they've won the championship. Scenes of utter delight, scenes reminiscent of 1967 with Celtic, 1968 with Manchester United. And that is what Liverpool have done. Terry McDermott, the scorer of the first goal, Kevin Keegan, what an end to the season and his career with Liverpool. He has shown himself to be in great class tonight. The cup to be presented by the President of UEFA, Dr. Artemio Franchi. And there it is. The smile of the season from Emlyn Hughes. The performance of the season. The trophy of the season. And won by the English champions, Liverpool.
I had left the Liverpool fans in no doubt as to my intentions long before we boarded that plane to Rome, and before I pulled on the red shirt for the last time, I had made my plans very clear. I don't think it's an easy decision to make, the decision I've had to make, but a lot of the fans have been very good about it. I just want to enjoy it, you know. It's not a depressing time for me, because what's going to happen after this is what I've wanted. So for me, I'm looking ahead to new horizons, and I only hope that the people here have been satisfied with what I've given them, because I'm over the moon with what they've given me over the last 5 years. And nobody could have supported me better than they have. They've stuck by me through thick and thin. And for my part, I've tried every week to come out here and give them 100% effort. And I'll make that pretty even. We've had a good deal for 5 or 6 years, and I'm leaving on a really happy note, because I know what's coming next is what I want. And that was the end of a marvellous chapter. 5 years at Anfield, when the side was undoubtedly the very best of British. Now a fresh challenge awaited. I was now a Hamburg player with a new language to learn, new living conditions, and different training and playing methods to conquer. I was determined to take the challenge head on and set a trail that was to affect the whole game.
Keegan's initial pass started the move, which led to a very doubtful penalty after just 4 minutes. Referee Robert Wirtz of France saw an infringement in that tackle, and outside left Volkert scored from the spot. Barcelona looked to have fielded a very strong team, but a minute later they were 2 down, with Reinman squeezing the ball home from the narrowest of angles. Almost immediately afterwards, Johan Cruyff limped off with an injury that will keep him out for 6 or 7 weeks. And Barcelona's problems weren't helped on the night by some poor goalkeeping from Artala. 3 goals up after 30 minutes was just the start to give Keegan confidence. All he wanted to do now was to score. And 5 minutes into the second half, he did. It was a typical opportunist goal from Keegan, and the jump and the salute might have said that's the first repayment on that daunting price tag. Keegan's debut was hailed by the German press in the same sort of superlatives that were attached to his performances for Liverpool. And the perfect night for Kevin Keegan, for Hamburg and for the ecstatic German crowd was clinched with 2 more goals. The first from Kaltz and then from Keller 2 minutes from time. It was a night which underlined just how much Kevin Keegan will be missed in English football.
Nach einer Flanke von Reimann brachte Keegan den Gastgeber 1:0 nach vorn. Keegan war schneller als ein Abwehrspieler und Englands Nationaltorhüter Clemens. Noch einmal aus anderer Perspektive. Im genau richtigen Moment erwischt Keegan den Ball. In den ersten 30 Minuten zauberte der HSV. Man kann es eigentlich nicht anders nennen. Auch an der größten Chance zum 2:0 war der Brite wiederum beteiligt. Gerade noch vor der Torlinie konnte Clemens den Kopfball erwischen. Steffen Hagen schlug die Flanke, Jones lenkte sie gegen die eigene Latte und dann der 1,67 Meter große Kevin Keegan. Nach der Pause noch eine eindrucksvolle Studie von Kevin Keegan. Er ist erheblich schneller als Liverpools Nummer 8, Case. Ein Geschenk von Ray Clemens an den HSV und den Schützen Magath, das 2:0. Von Keegan kam der Rückzieher. Motley wollte da nicht zurückstehen und servierte Johnson im Gegenzug die Möglichkeit zum 1:2. Danach erhebliche Unsicherheiten in der HSV-Abwehr aus Nationalspielern. Ehrgeizig nutzten die Gäste diese Schwächen zum 2:2 Ausgleich durch Fairklau. Als Liverpool dem Siegtreffer näher war als die Hamburger, beendete Keller eine Musterkombination mit dem Siegtreffer zum 3:2.
My time at Hamburg was a period that gave me the utmost satisfaction both as a player and as an individual. It was a time that ended with the ultimate honour. I was named European Footballer of the Year. But with that peak climbed, the time was ripe to return to England. I'd lined up to go to Juventus. I'd talked with a chap called Gigi Perinacci, and it seemed like a fantastic time to leave Hamburg. The training there was very hard, and I was really getting to the stage where I felt I had not a lot more to give there. I was feeling a bit empty physically. And I thought, Juventus, yeah, I'd like to go and have a go at Italy. You know, everyone says it's difficult to score goals there. I wonder if I can, you know, buck the trend a bit and be actually a forward who can get 20 or so goals. And I went home to see my wife, having said to Gigi, I think you can virtually say I'm 99.9% certain I'll be going. And I said to my wife, you know, we've got the chance to go to Italy. And I'll never forget what she said. You know, she said,
yeah, you can go to Italy. She says, and I'm going back to England. I was amazed how much it surprised people. I think what appealed to me about Southampton more than anything, apart from the fact I had friends here, you know, and it's a lovely part of England to live in, there's no doubt about that, was the fact that I thought to achieve something like a league championship with a small club would be something totally new for me. I'd done it with Hamburg in Germany, we'd won the league. Hamburg, like Man United, are in this country, in Liverpool. I'd done it obviously with Liverpool for 6 seasons, and I thought to come back and go into that same situation wouldn't be as interesting as coming to a club like this and trying really to win against all the odds. And I think that's, if I'm honest, that is what really appealed to me. I mean, you talk about no fun in football now. People say, where's the fun gone? We probably had too much fun in it here. I mean, the football wasn't secondary, don't get me wrong, but it certainly wasn't the be-all and end-all, except when we went out there on the pitch.
Keegan. George. Moran. Shannon wants it on the far post, but Moran tries and gets it himself, and what a splendid goal by Steve Moran. Now Shannon trying his luck on the left with Keegan on his outside. Baker. Forced wide by Hawker. Golak. Watson's header. This is Baker. Keegan in space. Number 3, surely. Yes! Kevin Keegan, who scored his first ever goal for Southampton against Birmingham at the Dell in August, puts the points beyond Birmingham's reach again. Baker, important in the build-up. When he played it through to Keegan, he was in so much space, Birmingham will wonder why he was completely unmarked, and Keegan finishes so well.
We had 2 terrific seasons here in terms of football and in terms of actually playing the type of football people want to see. It's that they still talk about it in the town now. And I don't think they'll see the likes of that again here. I don't mean that discourteous to any manager or any of the players that have come since, but we had a terrific way of playing football. And we used to draw games. I mean, we always said one of the big problems, we had to score 3 goals to win. 2 wasn't enough. 2 would get us a draw. 3 would win. I can remember sitting here one night after we'd drawn 5-5 with Coventry, and little Danny Wallace, who now is, of course, at Man United at the moment, he was just an apprentice, just come through his apprenticeship, and he actually came on sub-second half. And it was 1-0 at half-time. So there was 9 goals scored in about 30 minutes. And he came in and threw his boots in the middle there. And, you know, obviously we were sick, we'd chucked away a point at home to Coventry because we'd normally expect to beat them. And he chucked his boots and he said, I don't know how we lost that. He miscounted and he actually thought we'd lost. He thought we'd lost 5-4 and we drew 5 each. That really typifies what the team meant. And we actually very nearly pinched the league. I mean, we hit the top just after Christmas. And we could have pinched it. I say pinched it because I think with the greatest respect, there was better sides around in terms of depth in talent at the clubs. Like Liverpool had a fantastic squad. We were just, you know, ragtag and bobtails compared with them. But we were actually 8 points clear of Liverpool, and they had to come down the Dell. And nobody liked coming here.
There's a lot of pushing going on between Nicol and Hawley. The ball reaches Golak. Now Shannon. Williams has gone on a run in the inside right position. Keegan's on the far post too. He picks him out beautifully. Here's Keegan. 1-0. And Kevin Keegan finishes in the impeccable manner we've come to expect. So simple for Southampton. The goal coming in the 14th minute. When the ball was clipped in from the right, Keegan spotted that Siddall had come off his line, prodded out a right foot, and that was enough to give Southampton the early lead that these fans at the Dell have come to expect. Shannon. Moran racing through. Whitworth reaching it first, and that'll be just kept in by Barry Siddall. No, the referee said it crossed the line. Sunderland keeper looking aggrieved at that decision, but the linesman was perfectly placed to decide. So another Southampton corner. Keegan's header! A splendid goal by Kevin Keegan. And the despairing leap by Whitworth on the line only forced the ball inevitably on into the net. 25 minutes gone, so simple again. The corner floated over from the right by Shannon. A wonderful flick header on the near post by Keegan, directed towards the roof of the net. Whitworth could only help it in. Keegan's goal, 2-0 to Southampton.
Williams. Oh, that's lovely to Keegan! Beautiful goal. Beautiful goal fashioned by Williams and Keegan. Back they come again, and here's Keegan. That's a penalty. No question, that's a penalty. Foul by Eureka. Well, he's caught the Southampton and England skipper a number of times, and there was no doubt in my mind, or more importantly the referee, the challenge was from behind. He was just bundled down. The referee making sure every other player is outside the area. And Southampton have hope. The ball very, very cleanly struck. And that, incidentally, Keegan's 12th goal of the season, which equals his total of last season. Lovely strike. But now mighty again as he goes between the two of them. This time he's gone wide, and that's a penalty. Keegan that time going wide. The goalkeeper went down, Keegan went over the legs of the goalkeeper. And the penalty resulting. Oh. And he finally goes in off the far post.
I said to Laurie Mack, I never forget, he flew in from Florida. We flew in from Ireland. We'd gone there with basically a couple of experienced players and a load of kids. We'd had a bit of a nightmare tour, drew 0-0, won 1-0 against inferior opposition, to say the least. And I just felt, when he came to the airport, I said, you know, I wasn't being rude, I just said you should have been there to see what we're going to try and win the First Division with next season. You know, we're way short. And I said, it's going to be hard work. And Laurie Mack said to me, I'll never forget, he said, you're getting to be hard work too. And that was it. I said, I won't be. I'll be gone before Thursday. And that was like on the Monday. And that's how it happened, really. A little bit of a wrong word at the wrong time, you know. Clash of maybe two personalities. But we're great friends again now, you know. He did what he had to do. He carried on, rebuilt the club again. He got Schultz in, and they had another couple of good years after I left. And of course, I went on to Newcastle and another adventure. Playing for your country is undoubtedly the greatest honour a sportsman can attain. For me, it was the source of enormous pride. My first game for England, under 21s at Derby, was almost a non-event because the pitch made it an absolute lottery. And I came home afterwards and I thought, well, I'd love another chance, you know. It was really, didn't suit anybody who ran with the ball. And of course, I was lucky enough to get another chance, and then very soon I was promoted to the senior squad. And it all again happened so quick. I mean, I think where I was so lucky in my career is that things happened at such a pace that you never really had a chance to analyse anything. It was just as if something new was happening every week and every day. And you were on this roller coaster that just, well, you didn't want it to stop for a start, but even had you wanted it to, you felt like it couldn't.
Bowles with a short corner. Nish. Keegan, kicked away, no! Bella's miskicked it. Poor lad. Keegan scores.
Keegan. Bell, he was pulled a bit. Here's Shannon, they're queuing at the far post. Bell!
Number 9, Muller. Potter on the way, Emerson is turning as Keegan. Wide for Shannon. Prepared to take the defender on a space for the shot. And that's 1-0, Keegan.
He's got Trevor Brooking on the ball. Number 10, and to his right is Kevin Keegan. Pele on the end of the wall for Team America, just pointing there. And Keith Eddy standing next to him. Here's Keegan, and it's there. The wall seemed to break, and Keegan got one through. Good header by Mick Mills. Not a good ball from Tommy Smith. It only found Pearson. This is Shannon. Keegan coming in from the far side, and a beautifully made goal. Well taken by Keegan.
Keegan. Madeley. Thompson. Left by Shannon for Pearson. Did well to squeeze that back. Keegan! 2-1! So quickly manufactured by England. Certainly Bobby Charlton made the point at half-time. They may be amateur, these boys, but they certainly know how to tackle and made themselves felt on occasion. And off the ball, there have been one or two incidents that have gone unnoticed. Keegan now! 4-1! And Pilsner, the big centre-back, was caught absolutely.
Under Don Revie, I became captain of England, which was the greatest thing, I think. Well, I know ever happened to me. I mean, everything else, European Cup winners' medals, European Football of the Year twice, it falls way, way behind captaining your country. I mean, playing for your country, anyway, it falls behind. But actually, walking out there as captain gives you a buzz that, I mean, very few people are fortunate enough to understand what I mean. I mean, after that, there was nothing else, you know, in all my career that could even get near it. I loved it so much.
And he finds Francis. And again, Royal the target. Bit of pushing, perhaps. Here's Watson, though. And there's Keegan, and that's the first goal for England after 9 minutes.
Brooking, it's open, and there's a line goal by Keegan! Mills. Keegan. Latchford, Keegan. And the free kick given against Mark Jensen. No one's given a marking job on him so far. That was Watson, and that's Keegan, and that's two.
Brooking gets it back again from Ray Wilkins. Really a promising start by England. That's for Keegan. Oh, that's a beauty! A superb header by Kevin Keegan. Koppel. Keegan out to his right. Tardelli with him. Keegan trying to draw somebody out. They've left Brooking!
They're getting bogged down rather in the middle of the field, but that's Watson with the long ball. Ivkov with the header. Brooking saw his chance there and went all the way. Trevor Brooking, and Kevin Keegan scores for England. A typical Brooking-Keegan combination. How well it works, and Ron Greenwood's entitled to smile.
Watson's header. Hartford. Gray. Hartford. Broke down thanks to Steve Koppel's persistence. Keegan. Brooking breaking forward. Took the attention away from Keegan. There's the 1-2. And it's 3-1. And the Scots defence sliced apart. George Wood buries his face in the Wembley turf in anguish, but he was left with nothing he could possibly do as the defence parted. There's Keegan. The 1-2 with Brooking, the man he employed George playing with so well, perfectly played at the right pace by Brooking, and Scotland hadn't got a hope. Marvellous example of understanding, and Keegan through to make it 3-1.
It was nicely done by Keegan. This is McDermott. Cunningham and Johnson. Keegan!
scores his 17th goal for England. The cross by McDermott. Johnson and Cunningham at the far post. Between them won it, and Keegan, who looks for that kind of knockdown, puts a goal away, which is his everyday stock in trade. Kevin Keegan, the goal scorer. Keegan went for the chip. Oh! Brilliant goal! Marvellous piece of vision and finishing by the European Footballer of the Year. And that's why he's the most highly rated player in Europe. Absolutely marvellous to see it go in. Keegan with an appreciation there of where the goalkeeper was. It's on his left side. He chips, Healy is off his line, and that's 2-0 to England. Keegan has got them both. The first was simple, the second was superb.
And the match nicely poised. Last time Argentina came here, before the '74 World Cup, they got a 2-2 draw. Here's Keegan, who now has Johnson to his left.
Keegan! Oh, what a strike! Marvellous play. No wonder they stand up on the bench, on the England side, that is. That's a measure of the little man, but again, credit to Koppel, who killed it, absolutely set it up for him, and Keegan said, that's mine. Bang! Super goal. Anderson seemingly moving late, but got there in plenty of time. Anderson. Morley. Francis. Three in the middle. Oh, that's a good angle cross. Keegan! What a good cross. And Keegan goes to Trevor Francis. And for the England captain, that's goal number 21 for England. Morley, Francis making the run. He got absolutely to the teeth of the line and pulled it back at such a lovely angle, which beat the defence and set up Keegan.
I love playing for my country. I don't think I really had to prove that to anyone. But the way it was taken away left me with absolutely no chance to even enjoy it. And I think that's what really hurt in the end. I'd been captain for a long time. I'd played 70 games, and I just felt I deserved a phone call. And this has always been my argument with Bobby Robson, and always will be. And I suppose if I learnt anything from it, it is now I do try and talk to players all the time. I'm very aware of the fact that if you leave a player out, how that affects him. I've had it happen to me. And if you're going to sell a player or you're thinking of selling a player, I try and be open and honest with him. Now, whether it'll be the right way in management, I don't know. But certainly what Bobby Robson did was, you know, it would have cost him 10p to phone me up here. I was at Newcastle at the time, playing in this stadium. And that's what I couldn't accept. I mean, it was an awful way to find out. Pressman coming up saying, have you heard the news?
And you will appreciate, I think, the position that I was in when I first took over the England job. Do I pick Kevin, you know, or do I go, you know, on another scenario and look at other younger players? And that's all it was. There was I mean, I've admired Kevin Keegan more than any player in the country. I used to go and watch him play at Wembley for England. I used to come back, I used to get all my players in the Ipswich Town dressing room, and I'd say, listen, last night I went to see England play, and I saw the richest man maybe playing in England, but I also saw the most enthusiastic man, and I saw the bravest man, and that was Keegan. And I love the little fella, because for me he was a classic example of how to play the game properly and the sort of personality you should try to be.
And so on to Newcastle United, and a move that totally revitalised my career. The people of the North East are something very special, and it was pretty special on the field as well. There were some terrific youngsters around me, Chris Waddle, Peter Beardsley, to name but two. Promotion to the top flight became our aim, and those soccer-mad fans at St James's were treated to a very exciting time.
Craigs forward. Keegan's flick. Berardi. Keegan again. Chance here for Keegan. He's done it. Kevin Keegan scores, and St James's Park goes absolutely wild. 15 minutes gone, and Kevin Keegan celebrates his debut with the goal the whole of Tyneside has been praying for. The flick by Keegan first of all, the return ball from Berardi, and from that moment on there was only one result. He kept his cool, Hucker came out, and he tucked that one away without any bother at all. He's still being mobbed down there. He scored on his debut for Liverpool, and now he scored on his debut for Newcastle United. And that's the expression that tells it all.
Kevin Keegan telling where he wants the ball. Anderson. McDermott. He's got Keegan in the box. This is Keegan. Oh, is this it? What a magnificent goal! That's what the Geordie fans wanted. The inspiration from McDermott and the finish of Keegan. So Kevin Keegan steps forward. Will this be his 5th goal of the season for Newcastle and his 2nd of the match? Scored after 11 minutes. And now with a penalty. Martin came in to steal that. Berardi. Keegan, is this the hat-trick? Kevin Keegan gets the hat-trick, and Newcastle lead 3-0. The Geordie fans go mad. Kevin Keegan doubles his goal total for Newcastle, 3 before today, and a hat-trick here this afternoon. Mick Martin. Keegan, number 4. What a marvellous goal. What a performance by Newcastle.
Beardsley again. Anderson's there as well. So is Ryan, the other fullback. And Ryan got the ball in the flick on was by Waddle. And there it is. And of course, it's Kevin Keegan. Who else? McDermott with the kick. Keegan again! 2-1 to Newcastle. And Keegan sees the fans happy, and Lenny Lawrence can only reflect that you do everything you can in defence, and he'll still turn again. Charlton overhauled with 9 minutes to go, and Kevin Keegan makes it 150 goals in the Football League and turns a very disappointing Newcastle performance into the possibility of 3 points.
Corner taken short. Waddle, 2 men to beat, but he's got the cross in. And Keegan, and Otto's on the line, but he can only help it in. And Kevin Keegan has scored the equaliser. McDermott forward, Keegan with a touch, and it's Chris Waddle galloping into space. He's left Kinsey for dead. Now can he find the man to finish it off? Keegan's there, and Keegan has scored. He started it, he's finished it. Now Waddle trying to work the opening. Wharton's knocked back. Keegan, what a finish from Kevin Keegan. He absolutely buried that one. Oh, beautifully brought down from Keegan. And a touch through for Mills. And Mills, the substitute, has got the equaliser. Only minutes left. Mills now. Well into injury time. Beardsley's still going, trying to get the ball in the middle. And Wharton's there. And Wharton has scored. It's 3-2 to Newcastle. Well into injury time. And Newcastle surely have grabbed the points.
And Waddle breaking forward, and Newcastle have 3 against 1 here. The one is Sullivan, the chance for Keegan, the goal for Keegan. Keegan is away here, and Beardsley, will he walk it in? He does. Peter Beardsley in stoppage time at the end of the first half. Beardsley waving Keegan on. Now it's a race on with Tate. And Tate doing some holding, but Keegan's got the strength. And has Beardsley got the finish? 3-1. They contrived it between the two of them. Waddle is less Sullivan this time, and Newcastle are outnumbering Portsmouth in this attack. Waddle goes his own way, and Beardsley couldn't quite collect the rebound off the goalkeeper. And Keegan, goal given.
Lane laying it off, but straight to McDermott, and he's got Keegan in. 2-0. What a start for the little man.
This is what? For McDermott. Keegan's gone to the near post. Keegan! He was beginning to lose his patience with the conditions and with the pitch, but Terry McDermott brought joy for the old Liverpool combination.
Beardsley. Beardsley again. Brilliant goal. Well, that's a marvellous goal by Beardsley. Off goes Watt. McDermott. And then for Waddle. With time to set himself up for the shot. McDermott. Brilliant piece of thinking by Terry McDermott. Skill. Beardsley for Keegan. Now Truex arriving. Waddle's in the middle. And Keegan! The finish of a master craftsman. That a typical Newcastle move, which split open the middle to a defence. Sweeping play, and Truex cross, picking out Keegan, who timed his run to perfection.
Anderson on the ball, forward for Beardsley. And Keegan scores and makes it look so simple. So Alan Shoulder with this penalty. And Carr saved it, and Poskett, and Carr saved it again. A marvellous double save back from Kevin Carr. Well, may the crowd applaud. But now it's Waddle breaking for Newcastle. McDermott, Keegan, this is a good move developing. And McDermott again, Beardsley. Keegan's there, and Keegan has scored. That's quite remarkable. Straight from the penalty save, Keegan's made it 3-0. John Anderson, looking for Keegan. He's got a touch now. And Waddle is hit the post, and Kevin Keegan scores, and his career on Tyneside turns full circle. He scored on his debut, and now in his final game, he's provided the goal the fans were praying for. Keegan. Truex. Jones the defender. Dermott out to Keegan again. He's got the cross in, and Waddle has scored. But Waddle's quick to congratulate the architect, Kevin Keegan. Beardsley still got this one, though. Keegan through again for Beardsley. Oh, he did well there. Oh, that's brilliant from Peter Beardsley. What a way to end a season. And even Keegan congratulates the man who may well turn out to be his successor as the fans' number one.
And that was the end of my playing career. A fond farewell to the Geordie faithful and a chance to turn away from the game that had been my life for so many years. Also a chance to put my all-important family first and to spend some time with my other great love, horses. But as you know, it was then that the phone rang from St James's Park. I loved the North East, I loved Newcastle, and I loved the people. And in 1992, I went back to Newcastle United in a way that I never thought was possible.
I'd like to now introduce you to the new manager of Newcastle United. He's well known to you all, and he's well known to the people in the region. And we take great pleasure in introducing him to you now. And I'd like, if you would come through the doors, please. Keegan Keegan.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say it's nice to be back. Feel like I've come home.
Happy? Kevin?
I just want to give them the very best I can. And I've got a chairman now and a board of directors who believe in the same things as me. We're not exactly the same. We don't eat, sleep, drink the same sort of things. But we both maybe got one ambition, and that is, A, to be successful. Because the chairman of this football club has been a tremendous success in the business world. And I've not had many failures in my career. And I don't want the first one to be here. And there's never a better time to take a club over than when it's down. Now this club, we've never given these people here, even the side in '84 that they talk about still, it wasn't good enough for this club. That was only a side getting out of the second division into the first division as it was then. And that is not success for a club like this. But it's seen as success because the rest have been so abysmal. Every time a manager took over here, I thought, he's going to do it. Arthur Cox will do it, for sure. All right, something happened, he went. Jack Chan, tremendous choice, he'll do it. Didn't last long at all. William McFall, local lad, yeah, he's got the passion, he loves the club, he'll do it. Didn't make it. Jim Smith, yeah, must do it. Jim, I knew from Boston, hard work, he'll do the work at the bottom and the club will grow under him. Didn't happen. And then Ozzy Ardiles, I thought, yeah, that's a masterstroke. He's got to be the one because they'll play good football, the fans will love him, and they'll sure to get out if they get the right sort of players. Didn't happen. Now it's my turn. I just hope it happens.
The fans that took to him, it was the people in the street, the old grannies walking through the street and wanting to shake his hand, and everyone knows Kevin Keegan.
The whole city was lifted when he came. It was just phenomenal, like everywhere he went or everywhere the team went. You know, the Newcastle supporters were absolutely unbelievable. Like, they treated him like a god, and I thought it rubbed off a bit on the pitch.
Everywhere you go with him, you know, the fans stop him and say, "Kevin, what are you going to do this season?" They have a tremendous support, tremendous affection for him, and he responds in the most positive way to them all. He never turns anyone away. I've been very pleasantly surprised at how he deals with them. He's got a tremendous manner.
Hero. Everyone loves him. He's a great like guy. Great.
Well, he was such an exciting footballer, and the Geordies, you know, they like excitement, and he scored a lot of goals.
Kevin has always been a 100% player. He had tremendous ability, but his application to every game was, you know, fantastic. He was a model pro.
I remember one little story when he came up to play at Roker Park for Southampton, and I was just a young kid, I was the apprentice, all shy and bashful. I remember he had a lovely white suit. I went up and asked him for his autograph. Little things like that, but he was a hero at that time when I was the apprentice. So it's very nice to work alongside him.
I was very pleased to see Kevin come back here. I mean, the whole point is that he has everybody stirred up in the area, and also he's a great influence on younger players.
No one could say that the Kevin Keegan story is uneventful, let alone me. At times my career had seemed like a roller coaster, taking me to places that I never even dreamed were possible. Scunthorpe, Liverpool, Hamburg, Southampton, captain in England and pulling on the most prestigious shirt in the game, and of course, Newcastle. My story might have a beginning and a middle, but as yet there is no final chapter. Who knows where this amazing roller coaster ride will end?